everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be reading a few mixed media books from my TBR. So I've had quite a few mixed media books on my TBR that I've been wanting to read for some time now, but I haven't had access to the physical copy, so I didn't really want to read them on my Kindle or as an ebook or an audiobook and miss out on the joy of the mixed media element. So now that I've moved, I've got a new library and it's massive, so I've been able to find quite a few of these books, so I thought, why not make a video out of it? So let's get into it. The first book I read for this video was The Appeal by Janice Hallett. I'm really excited to be reading one of Janice Hallett's books because she is an author I've been wanting to read for a while now, and this book specifically has been on my TBR for ages, so I'm really excited that I finally got to it. It was an amazing book. It was 5-star. I'm only filming this afterwards because once I picked it up I could not put it down. It was so good. So The Appeal is about a group of amateur actors who are acting in a local play in a rural town in England when the director's granddaughter is diagnosed with a rare form of brain cancer. So the only cure for this brain cancer is this experimental treatment in the States. So the whole community kind of rallies together and they put on this fundraiser and they're raising money to buy this drug for the sick girl. And then there's kind of questions about the management of funds of the fundraiser, what's going on with the doctor, if she's getting the right treatment, and then there's a murder. So basically we're following two law students as they're reading through all of these emails and news clippings to try and figure out what's going on, see if they can work out the murderer. So there were so many twists and turns. I'm not really going to do any spoilers in this, but oh my goodness, it was an incredible book. I could not put it down. I was not expecting to be so swept up in it, but I would highly recommend it. I'm really looking forward to reading more of Janice Hallett now as well because she used the mixed media so well. I didn't even think of it as like a book. I read through it so quickly. It was really intriguing and I was so gripped the entire time. So you guys should definitely check it out. The second book I'm going to be reading in this video is Sadie by Courtney Summers. Sadie focuses on Sadie and her youngest sister, who Sadie has been raising, and then the sister goes missing, and so Sadie is trying to find her and figure out what happened to her. And then we also follow a radio host who finds out about Sadie and her sister and their story, and is trying to find the missing girl as well. And I believe he starts a podcast series about it. So yeah. I've heard really good things about the audiobook actually, which is like full cast, it's supposed to be really good. So despite the reason of this video being that I can finally read the physical copies, I am actually going to listen to the audiobook on this one, but just don't pretend I'm not. I will check in with you guys when I have an update, but I'm excited to dig into this one. I have finished Sadie by Courtney Summers. I ended up giving this book 2.5 stars, so not great. I did listen to the audiobook instead of reading it, which was a bit naughty, but I do think that if I hadn't listened to the audiobook, I probably wouldn't have finished it because, yeah, I just didn't love it, to be honest. So I got a couple elements wrong. I was trying to go into it pretty blind, and I don't think I mentioned that, so to the intro to her, story, it's very wrong. But basically, Sadie's sister, we know at the beginning that Sadie's sister that she's been raising is dead, and Sadie is going to look for her killer. So she's trying to find the person who murdered her sister, and then in the process Sadie goes missing, and that's where that radio host goes to look for her, and he kind of gets involved with that too. So we're following Sadie trying to solve her sister's murder, and then the radio host trying to find Sadie. So overall it was a really interesting story, and I think I liked the radio host side a bit more. The audiobook was very well done, the full cast was great, the multimedia elements were really cool, it was nice. It was like one chapter Sadie, one chapter of the radio host, so kind of following along. But yeah, I did not love it, to be honest. I don't tend to love stuff set in like Southern America, Southern United States. It's just, I know that about myself, it's a weird bias. And this was kind of set in that area, and I think that affected me probably more than it should have. But I just did not connect to Sadie's story. I found, her as a character. I also found her to be very childish in her thinking, and she's basically a child, but a lot of it was very predictable to me, and yeah, I didn't love it. So I think it's a well done story, and I think it would definitely be a 5-star read for some people, but for me personally, I didn't love it, I didn't gel with it. So yeah, it's a 2.5 stars for me. The third book I'm going to be reading in this video is Ship of Theseus by Doug Dorse and J.J. Abrams. I am so excited that I finally have my hands on this and I'm going to get to read it. I've been seeing it everywhere for years now, and I think I just never picked it up because it was pretty expensive, but I'm very excited to finally dive in. So Ship of Theseus is sort of a book within a book. Ship of Theseus is written by V.M. Straka, which is kind of the book within a book, I suppose. And then we have two characters who are writing in the margins, kind of little letters back and forth to each other. I don't know if you guys can see. So all of the pages have got all of these like notes, and they're writing back and forth. So I think it's the one girl picks it up and sees that it's got notes in it, and so she starts writing back and answering these questions, and then he picks up, to my knowledge. I know very little. I'm trying to go into this as blind as I can. But then it also has these little like letters and props and stuff that are throughout the pages. So I'm really excited to go through this, and I think this is going to be a really fun experience. So I'll check in with you guys a little bit later. For the weird angle. I just filmed like a whole little check-in while I've been reading this book, and then watched it back, and you can't see anything, it's just my legs, so we'll try that again. But yeah, I just finished reading the foreword and the translator's note in Ship of Theseus, and then I've started the first chapter, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's a really fun book. I'm really enjoying the annotations, like the mixed media is done really well. And it's really well put together. Like you can see, it's all kind of yellowed pages. The printing is done really nicely. Like the color, it all comes through really well, and it looks like it's handwritten. I mean, obviously it's supposed to, but you know, sometimes it doesn't print very well, but this really does. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. A lot of it is just the two characters kind of getting to know each other and chatting to each other, like through their annotations back and forth. It is a little bit disconcerting sometimes, not disconcerting, discombobulating, because I'm trying to get into the story and it's supposed to be very complicated. So I'm trying to read the like actual novel, and then some of the annotations are like underlined text or like a little piece about that, or tying it back to the mystery of the author, because basically no one knows who this V.M. Straka is, and each of his novels is translated. So the translator all of a sudden is adding this note, and there's never been a note before, and he's adding all these footnotes. So it's kind of, they're trying to solve, I think, the mystery of the author, and then why the translator has gotten so involved, and he's not really making a lot of sense, or he's spouting some weird stuff. I'm not quite sure yet, but we will find it. But yeah, so it's a bit strange sometimes, because your mind kind of wants to read all the text before you jump into the annotations, and sometimes you kind of have to break in and out, and then all of a sudden I'm like reading a get to know you convo, but it's pretty fun. It's also, I will say, they started off with a little bit of hostility almost, like the person whose book it was a bit snarky to the woman that picked it up and has started writing in it, and that's kind of gone away really quickly, which is a bit interesting. I mean, I suppose it makes sense, because if she was pissed off with them, she just wouldn't keep reading, like she wouldn't keep writing back. But there's a lot of books, so it felt a little bit rushed, which is like a flip, but obviously it's not really about their relationship, I don't think. But I do kind of smell a little bit of a romance brewing, which would be really cool. So I'm kind of rooting for that. And then it's also cool because at some points there are parts where they've come from the future and written back into it. So there's some different, I mean, they're mainly writing in blue and black at this point. Sometimes they write in other colours, but this orange, I've noticed, and this pink and stuff is from the future. So that's kind of fun, is you're getting a note from their future self who's read more clearly, knows more about it, like what's going on. So I really enjoy that. That's pretty fun. The other fun thing, I've only seen one so far, but there's this little S, which is a symbol that appears throughout the book, as far as I can tell. But this one's hand-drawn, and they both thought it was each other's, like each other had done it, and it was someone else. So there's clearly a third person reading this and potentially narrating in it, or annotating it. So that's kind of fun. I think it'll be a fun little addition. But yeah, it's really, I'm really enjoying it. There's kind of a collegiate setting as well. The original character whose book it is doing like a research project or his thesis on it, and his advisor has like taken his work and is going to publish it. So there's a bit of a race against time in this as well to get it all sorted out and straightened out so he can, I believe, dispel that or something. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far, and the quality, I'm really impressed by it. The props are really fun too. You know, we've got this letter, and there's like this decoding, let me pull it back out, there's like little decoding wheel, which is they're using to like see if there's code and footnotes and stuff. So I'm really enjoying it so far. But yeah, I will check in with you guys again if I have another update. So I am a little over halfway through the Ship of Theseus, which actually I've been calling it Ship of Theseus. The book's name is S by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorse. The like book within a book is Ship of Theseus, but I'm loving it. I think I'm smelling some 5-star potential here. It's really good. I am enjoying it a lot more than I was expecting, to be honest, and I am loving the mixed media. I spoke about it before, but all of the annotations and everything is just so much fun. So I spoke as well before that it was a little bit weird kind of jumping in and out of the book story and the annotation story, but I've kind of figured out my method now, which is I read the whole chapters, like the story, and then I go back and read all the annotations, which has been working well for me. Although I will say the chapters are like 50 pages minimum, and I'm a short chapter girl. I love short chapters. I like to just get through them quickly. So the long chapters are mildly killing me, but it's pretty good. I also have seen a lot of other people talking about the Ship of Theseus story being really boring. I'm honestly loving that as well. I think if I didn't, I do prefer reading about the annotations between Eric and Jen, who are 2 characters talking back and forth to each other, but I think even if it didn't have those elements, I would still enjoy this as a book, like the story of the Ship of Theseus, but that is a very interesting story. And then you have the footnotes on top of that, which are from we find out is kind of the translator trying to communicate with the author. And then we have Jen and Eric's notes to each other on top of that. So I am loving all of it. It's a fun read so far. I'm usually a Kindle reader. I love my Kindle. And this is the first book physically that I'm trying to think. I read The Appeal for this physically, and this is the only other one that I've read in the last little while. And it's such a good reminder about, I'm really enjoying the physical aspect of holding a book in my hands. This book really makes you appreciate that so much, and as someone that's very Kindle forward now and I mainly read on Kindle, this is such a nice one to be oh yeah, this is why you love holding a book. So that's been really fun. I'm enjoying that. I will say, for one thing I have noticed throughout the book is, so basically what's happening is V.M. Straka is the author. I'm not sure how much spoilers this is, but I'm going to keep it very light, but if you want to go into the super blind, maybe don't watch this bit. But V.M. Straka is the author, and he's died, and everyone's trying to figure out who he is. And so there's the communities that are interested in this have posited a bunch of theories. Jen and Eric both have theories, and they're talking to each other. And then Eric is a grad student who's been ousted from the school because he questioned his professor, or I don't know, he had a bit of an outburst, the professor stole something from him. So there's a bit of drama there. And they're writing, and then Jen's an undergrad at the school. So they're writing back and forth to each other, but they leave the book for each other in the school library, which is fun and all, but it's so strange to me because they keep talking about how dangerous it is. I mean, and there's instances of physical threats, like people are following them or setting fires at their houses. There's some legitimate violent threats to them, and they're oh, we shouldn't be writing this, and we should be really careful, and then leaving the book for each other in a public library. Which doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. Especially because Jen is oh, I've seen people watching me in the library. Girl, why are you leaving it in the library then? It's not that well hidden. And it's an obvious, but everyone knows that this is the book. It's not a different book than the author they're all working on. So that's a very weird little element that kind of takes me out of it a little bit, to be honest. But other than that, it's been very interesting. I do think it's a bit of a silly plot point, but it is heating up. There may or may not be, there definitely is. There's some fun romance, which I thought might have been coming, and it is, and I'm loving that. It's a very fun little back and forth. They're a bit sarcastic to each other, and it's quite cute seeing that happen. And then the props are, as always, really great. So here's they have cards, and there's some postcards and pictures and stuff and letters. So I'm enjoying the props as well. So overall, loving this. It is taking me, I will say, flippin' long time to read. It's a 450-page book, and then you're having to read, like, as I said, I'm reading each chapter kind of twice, and so I'm getting, like, all of the chapters, like, pages, and then I go back and read all these. So this one doesn't have too many on it, but I mean, some of them are pretty full, like, that's nearly a page on its own. So it does take a while. I think the last clip was like a week and a half ago. So I am loving it. It's just taking me a while to read. It's also kind of, I don't love jumping in and out of it. I kind of like to read one chapter and then follow it up by reading all the annotations. And that I feel like takes me about 45 minutes to an hour because they're really long chapters. So it's hard to carve out that like uninterrupted time. But other than that, I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, I'm gonna try not, I won't check in again until I'm finished unless there's something really crazy happening, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I have finally finished S by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst, or Ship of Theseus with V.M. Straka. And since I last checked in, I read pretty much the whole thing in one setting, other than like the last chapter. So it's like 200 pages in one sitting, but I loved it. I really enjoyed the story of S, like the story of the Ship of Theseus, and S's story and his journey. So he kind of is a man that wakes up with no memory, and he's going through this. He falls into like working with this resistance force, and it was really interesting. I liked a lot of what he kind of came to realize about his identity, about life, about love, so that was really cool, and I liked how that story was written. So then like having Jen and Eric's story on top of that was just like an added bonus almost. But I also wrapped up the story really well. They figured out who the author was. They finished up with finding the guys that were kind of trying to get them. They might have gotten together in the end, but I really enjoyed watching them kind of flirt back and forth and figuring things out and putting together all the puzzle pieces. I will say, I did, like as you're going through, they've got different, this is a good page actually, so they've got different colours of text, so like they're writing together at different points, I suppose is a good way to say that. Like they've got the first run through where they both read it is in one colour, and then you go back and forth. So I probably would have gotten more reading it that way, but I was not doing that. They're lucky that I read the chapters and then went back and read the annotations, which did really help. But I think with that you kind of miss some, like I know I haven't gotten everything out of this, but I'm okay with that. Like I'm happy with it. I've like looked online at some summaries and I think I filled in some gaps, but I will say some of it does end kind of abruptly, where it's like we're really worried for Jen's safety, like people are burning down her family's barn, and then it's like, oh, end of the book. Or we never find out, answers to big questions in the book, like where the research funding came from that Eric was using. We don't find that out. We don't really get big resolution on what happens with Moody and Ilsa and like what happens with his book. We get little tidbits, but nothing concrete. So everything was left very open-ended with the book, which was fun, but there's also, I think there's things that are fun to leave open-ended and then things where it's like, no, I just want to know the answer to that. So that I think was one of them, but yeah. Other than that, I really enjoyed it. This is a 5-star read for me. So yeah, I would highly recommend it. Alright guys, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed as I read through some multimedia books. I think I will probably do another video like this, or incorporate multimedia books into other videos, because especially Janice Hallett, she's got a lot of other books I'm really excited to read. And yeah, I know that there's I think it's House of Leaves, not by the same author, but it's pretty similar to S, so that would be a fun one to read as well. But I used to really read a lot of these when I was younger, and I just haven't read many, and I think we found some really good ones, especially with Janice Hallett. As I said, she's got quite a few out, so I think that'll be quite fun to jump into. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit like or subscribe. If you have anything to say, whack it in the comment below. And my Goodreads and Instagram links are in the description below. So thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you guys again soon. Bye!